woke up and our back door was wide open and we can't find our daughter.
Can't find what?
Our daughter.
I just got home from work. My 5-year-old daughter is gone.
She wasn't there when I got home.
I need somebody to be here now.
Listen to me. We got 2 officers.
If I find whoever has my daughter before y'all do, I'm killing them. I don't care. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison.
I just want my daughter back. That's it.
Just bring my baby home.
There's somebody that knows.
Somebody has her. They have her hid.
They won't keep it quiet forever.
Satsuma, Florida, a rural, quaint community, population 5,800, nestled just 50 miles south of Jacksonville, filled with manicured lawns, home to many retirees, and sits along the St. Johns River. On February 9, 2009, 5-year-old Haley Cummings had gone to elementary school like any other day, but her family wasn't prepared for what would happen that night.
I am Annette Sykes. I'm Haley's great-grandmother. She was a beautiful little girl. She always has a smile on her face, twinkle in her eye, giggles, the cutest little giggle you ever heard.
She was a little girl who had this smile that was infectious. Very happy, very loving, very maternal already at that little young age.
She'd steal your heart away in a minute. A picture of Haley. We called her Little Mama. She potty training her brother. That's Little Mama for you.
She was always at her dad's side whenever he was around, holding on to him.
Every step Daddy took, she took. She was glued to him.
Ronald Cummings was in a situation where he has custody at 25 years old. He's a single dad, basically, of his 2 children. He was a doting, loving father, adored Haley. They'd brush their teeth together. They spent a ton of time together. Her father, who typically works the midnight shift, picked her up at the end of the day when her school bus dropped her off in the neighborhood. He said he gave her a hug and a kiss when he went off to work at about 8 o'clock that evening.
That night, Haley was being cared for by her father's 17-year-old girlfriend, Misty Crosland.
Haley and her little brother, Ron Jr., were home with this babysitter, and from what family has told us, she was fantastic with the kids whenever they were around. It was really a normal night. Her great-grandmother actually came by to see them.
Haley and Junior were eating supper. And they put their plates down and jumped down and ran out to the car hollering, "Granny, Granny, Granny." I hugged them goodbye and gave her a kiss. And told her I would see her tomorrow. And she kissed me back and told me she loved me. And we left. Of course, I didn't see her tomorrow. Tomorrow never came.
I just woke up and our back door was wide open and we can't find our daughter.
Can't find what?
Our daughter.
Misty Crosland has said that she woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning and says that's when she realized that Haley was gone from bed.
When did you last see her?
It was about 10 o'clock. She was sleeping, just cleaning.
At around 3 o'clock, which is when Ronald came home, is when the 911 call was made by both of them.
You said your back door was wide open?
Yes, it was a brick. Like, there's a brick on the floor. Like, when I went to sleep, the door was not like that.
What is the brick?
It's on the back, on the stair. Like, we have, like, a walkway.
And there was a brick laying there?
Yes, it's still there.
Was your back door locked, do you know?
Yes, but that's what always stayed locked.
And I need somebody to get here now. I just got home from work. My 5-year-old daughter is gone. I need somebody to be here now. I'm telling you.
Listen to me. We got 2 officers.
If I find whoever has my daughter before y'all do, I'm killing them. I don't care. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. I'm telling you, you can put it on record, and I don't care.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I answered the phone, and when I said hello, he started, "Granny, somebody stole my little girl. Somebody stole my little girl."
What kind of description of her pajamas that she was wearing?
I don't know.
Of course, he was hysterical. I mean, he was just out of his mind. He went in the house, and he was looking everywhere, turning the furniture upside down, trying to find her. And she wasn't in there.
Misty Crosland's first 911 call is made at 3:27 a.m. 13 minutes later, at 3:40 a.m., detectives arrive at the scene.
We're investigating a disappearance of a 5-year-old female by the name of Haley Ann Marie Cummings. The rear door of the residence was found to be open.
I'm Captain Dominic Piscatello. During the Haley Cummings investigation, I was chief of detectives. On February 10th, I got a call that we had a missing child. I had some detectives that had just gotten on scene and began the search process. And as I'm driving there, they're telling me, we're not finding anything here in the house that would indicate that Haley's inside this house, which kind of sent a chill through me.
I'm John Merchant. I was the lead investigator for the disappearance of Haley Cummings. As the dispatcher was providing me the information of where I needed to go, I could hear the chaos in the background, and you just know then this is the big one.
Any evidence of an abduction?
We're not really sure. We're looking at it from all different angles. The child is missing. It's missing from the home. Whoever has a child is not supposed to have the child at this point.
We started to shut down the house, actually. We took the people out of the house, thinking now possibly we may have a crime scene here.
My name is Robert Mathis. At the time this all occurred, I was the head of the Homicide Investigation Unit for the State Attorney's Office. We would not have been called in if they hadn't believed that there was a substantial chance that this was a homicide.
The girlfriend who was with Haley at her disappearance and the father are cooperating with law enforcement 100% at this point.
Came home this morning to find out that I didn't have a child, that somebody stole my child. It's not like a bicycle or a car. Somebody stole my child from me.
Ronald, you don't think she could have just wandered off?
No,
She would not
no
leave
way.
the house.
My daughter's
She's
afraid of the dark.
There is no way she left that house by herself.
Somebody stole my child.
There was probably a span of about 7 to 8 hours from the time that Misty said that she put Haley to bed, or Haley went to sleep, until Ronald got home from work.
Within hours, we had 200 people on the ground here. We had choppers in the air. We had 3 dive teams in the water. We had investigators doing neighborhood canvass for that whole area.
My daughter is still gone somewhere. It's not time to give up.
It was incredible to see the force that came to this small rural community to find this little girl.
We're going to pray for Haley right now.
We have a young child that's been missing for several hours now, and we do not know the whereabouts of the child. So that is of a great concern for us.
Neighbors were on edge. Haley's family even camped out in tents overnight during the search.
This little girl, it's cold out here tonight, is out there somewhere with someone or even possibly alone.
The room I'm in right now kind of encompasses the volume of the investigation. As you can see behind me, there are binders and binders of books, all the maps, all the things that we did in this case to try to find Haley. This is the home of Haley Cummings. When our deputies got here, the first thing we noticed was Ron's car was parked right here.
Exclusive crime scene photos for the first time show Haley's home after the second deputy arrived.
As we come around the side, this was an interesting part. This is a bit where we believe that they say Haley came out of the residence. There used to be a big long ramp that came off of the house that came down to the ground here. When we got here, we found that screen door was propped open with a brick, a cement block Although it's probably not the screen door that was here initially, we took those doors to process. This is what Haley would have seen late at night when it's pitch dark. So I'm sure that a young girl wouldn't want to travel off into the bushes. There was a vehicle here that Ron owned, a white pickup truck that kind of sat here, and then another vehicle that was inoperable. It was here full of clothes and other items. We don't believe that Misty had any keys to that vehicle. She had no real transportation that was here at the scene that we could show.
The sheriff's office pointed out these mystery letters on Ronald's truck. The sheriff's office and experts have looked at the letters, but little is still known about them.
It was pretty dark that night. The houses that are close by, the neighbors are merely about 100 feet away. So it would be kind of difficult at night if there's nothing's lit up for them to see anything that's actually going on. And no one so far has been able to tell us they saw anything going on during that initial night when Haley disappeared from this residence. We saw a firearm sitting on top of in the kitchen. Right away we were like, what's this about?
Detectives found out the gun belonged to Haley's father. He had been carrying the gun, looking for whoever took his daughter.
There was a blanket on the back porch right next to the cinder block that was used to prop the door open. It was the blanket that was actually on the bed with her.
Well, that was fun outside because when the initial bloodhound got there, they wanted a scent item from Haley, and one of the dogs tracked to the river, which is a quarter mile maybe from the house. We put a massive effort of dive teams in the water there.
Investigators scoured the river, but found no sign of Haley.
We didn't know who the suspect was, so anybody at that point could have been a suspect.
The sheriff's office said 44 sex offenders lived in a 5-mile radius of Haley's home.
So we had a sex offender that lived right in the neighborhood 200 feet away.
And every one of those sex offenders was checked out.
But after all of those interviews, from what they tell me, they cleared everyone, and no one was considered a primary suspect in Haley's disappearance.
Haley, I love you. Your daddy loves you. We all love you. Please, just take her home.
Investigators also wanted to know about Haley's biological mom and if her relationship with Ronald Cummings played a role in Haley's disappearance.
When was the last time you actually saw your daughter?
2 weeks ago.
Haley's mom had been over 60 miles away in Glen St. Mary, Florida, the night Haley disappeared.
Do you know where the cinder block came from that was propping the door open?
Don't have a clue. I don't mess with none of that, so I don't know.
We clearly were able to find the brick, where the brick came from that actually propped open this door. It was back here by this water tank. So this block we were able to tell because of the impression of the dirt in the ground here where it was buried, as well as the dirt impression on the block matched.
We actually had that concrete block analyzed. We tried to get touch DNA off the block to see if perhaps somebody had been there that we didn't know.
We actually got a very small amount of DNA hit on the block, which was not enough DNA to actually identify the person's DNA.
At this point, we do not have any signs of any forced entry into the residence.
The only indicator that there was something wasn't right was the back door being propped open.
Does the door look like it was pried open? Does it look like someone tried to enter into your house?
No, it doesn't.
There's no evidence that anybody pried open the door.
The lock isn't jimmied. The doors aren't jimmied.
Misty said the door was locked. That was kind of strange because when we get there, everything's unlocked. And Misty said she didn't unlock it.
It always stayed closed and Haley couldn't open it.
How, then, did an abductor get into the mobile home to take this little girl?
Detectives also found something else disturbing.
We do have one spot of blood of Haley's, and it's a smear, and it's on her bed. We don't know if that happened that night. She's a 5-year-old girl. They get scraped knees.
Detectives took the drains from the bathroom sink and shower of the home and presumptively tested for blood. They found a small amount of blood, but they could not make a DNA match.
There was no smell of any cleaner, so the indication that blood or any type of evidence would have been removed, there was nothing to indicate that.
Hours after Haley vanished, Misty Croslin and Ronald Cummings were interviewed separately at the sheriff's office. Never before seen video now shows Misty and Ronald together after those interviews.
I'm gonna let Ronald come here because you seem like you're pretty upset.
Yeah, wake up.
I would never let nothing happen there. If I knew something, I could let someone just take her. You think I'd let someone take your daughter and hurt her or something? Because I would never do that. I didn't go knock the door. I didn't go knock any door.
There's some things that happened at the house that morning that just didn't seem right.
Investigators came back to the last person to see Haley Cummings before she disappeared, and that last person was Misty Croslin.
Do you believe that Misty was indeed home and that she's been telling the truth?
Yeah, I believe she's telling the truth.
Misty has been interviewed extensively. There's a lot of misinformation going on around here. We're trying to collect the facts, and that's where we're going to stick with it.
Coming up, Misty breaks her silence.
I just wanted to come home. I just want to find her.
And exclusive video for the first time shows detectives walk Misty back through the home. And they make a shocking discovery.
Show me what was different about this cinder block. You said there was something different about it?
That's not what was holding that door open. Just wish they would have took me instead of her. What do they want with a little 5-year-old? She's a good kid. There's no sense in someone doing this stuff to her.
5-year-old Florida girl Haley Cummings and her little brother are tucked into bed. But hours later, Haley mysteriously vanishes. Haley's father was at work, while his teen girlfriend Misty Croslin was home, babysitting the children.
There's no longer any reason to believe that the child simply wandered outside, so we are treating this absolutely like an abduction. All the world's a suspect right now.
I put her to bed about, 8 o'clock, because that's her bedtime. And I went come in there and put her blanket on her, and then I lay down. I got up because I had to use the bathroom, but I didn't make it to the bathroom. I seen the kitchen light on, and I walked in the kitchen, and the back door is wide open. I didn't notice about Haley then until I seen the back door open, and then I go in the room, and she's gone.
As investigators dig deeper, they were becoming suspicious of Misty's story.
From an outside person looking at it, things may seem odd. From an investigator, things may have seemed staged.
We knew Ronald was at work. Misty was the person who was there the entire time. Whatever happened to this child happened.
Misty had many stories that she wanted to tell us. Throughout the investigation, she was somewhat rehearsed in the very beginning of what she wanted to tell me.
The first story she told, they're all in the bedroom, and somebody comes in the middle of the night and takes this child away, and nobody wakes up. None of it matched up.
I didn't hear anything at all. Nothing. If I heard something, I would have got up and I wouldn't have let them take her.
The idea that somebody's going to come in that room and take a 5-year-old girl without somebody waking up was just beyond the pale of reality. We were told that Haley was a very active and very verbal 5-year-old. That made us concerned about the story that we were getting from the get-go.
You would think that there would be some type of indicators that she didn't go easily, and there was none of that. It leads us to the fact that there's probably a great probability there wasn't a stranger.
Very shortly after that 911 call was made, a deputy interviewed Misty Croslin. She said that the reason that she got up was because she wanted to get a drink of water.
But when she's interviewed by the TV reporter, her story changes.
3 o'clock in the morning, I got up because I had to use the bathroom, but I didn't make it to the bathroom. I seen the kitchen light on.
She told us that the reason that she got up was to go to the bathroom. It seemed suspicious to investigators. Facts are facts in their mind, and they couldn't understand why there would be a deviation from those facts.
A lot of details inside the house that made us say, hey, let's look at Misty.
One of the key inconsistencies was the fact that we located the identical shirt that Misty says that she was wearing when she went missing was actually found inside the dirty clothes hamper.
She reported to us Haley was in this specific Hannah Montana shirt, pink shirt. We did a video walkthrough of the scene with Misty. We actually show Misty the shirt.
Exclusive video you will only see here shows that moment.
This is the outfit she was wearing. This is the shirt she had on. She didn't have a shirt. This is the shirt she had on right here. This is it. That's her Hannah Montana shirt that she had on when she was in bed. But this is the shirt she had on. And she didn't have a shirt on, and she didn't have a shirt on. She didn't have a shirt on. And this is the shirt she had on when she went to bed.
Locating the shirt in the laundry room that she supposedly had on at the time she went missing was a big deal to us. And you got to understand, this was very, very early in the investigation.
When you put her to bed at 8 o'clock, she had that shirt on.
She had the shirt on.
When you put the blanket over her, she had that shirt on.
She had the shirt on. This is the shirt she had on right here. She had the shirt on when she went to bed.
How do you think that shirt got in that clothes on?
I don't know. I don't know.
When these indicators start popping up, that's when everything starts going from the outside. It starts focusing right back on Misty again.
One of the things she told us is she washed Haley's blanket because it had pee on it. There's clothes piled on the floor. Doesn't look like there's hardly any soap that she could use. That didn't seem to make sense.
So there are clothes on the floor? Yes. And there's these clothes that are on the floor. And now are those clean or what? These are dirty. They were pushed in a pile, not like they were. Okay. Anyway. So there was a pile of dirty clothes on the floor. Yeah. You had done laundry that night. I done blankets.
She claims the door standing wide open.
I seen the back door open.
Well, the door couldn't be standing wide open because the clothes were all piled in front of the door. So it didn't seem to make a lot of investigative sense at that point.
Up next, there was something else discovered in the home that was troubling investigators.
I just want to know how the f*** you let my dog go, bitch.
My daughter came up missing out of my house in the middle of the night.
5-year-old Haley Cummings goes missing while her dad is at work. Her dad's girlfriend, Misty Crosland, was babysitting. But for investigators, some things about her story weren't making sense.
She had indicated to us that they were all three in the same bed together. As time changed, during one of the interviews I done with her, she indicates that Haley was in her own bed.
The bed where Misty Crosland was sleeping, and here little Haley was sleeping. It is all but about 3.5 feet from each other. This is right where Misty said she got up, and she had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Instead of using the bathroom that's right there by the bedroom, she decided to walk out into the living room.
It's a mobile home. It had a typical hard door and then what we would call a storm door on the outside. I haven't never seen one open or close that didn't make some sort of noise. In order for somebody to take a concrete block and prop this aluminum door open, where's the noise? Why didn't this wake everybody up?
Here's the back screen door, the one that was propped open with the cinder block. When it closed, it slams, it makes a loud noise. But if you leave this door, this slowly closes as well.
And of course, the call didn't come in until the father got home from work. That was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
I can't imagine taking 20 minutes looking for it and not calling for help. She had taken a shower before we got there. So that was kind of strange.
In order to tell a lie, it's tough because you have to keep telling a lie. And that's where I feel the inconsistencies came in at, is there was no truth in them.
She was there. My brother, she was just born.
Her stories jump from one thing to another. I don't know if maybe she was trying to find something that they would believe or listen to.
I don't know what else you got. You want me to show you?
I wouldn't say that Misty doesn't remember anything. I feel comfortable that she knows all. She just hasn't told us.
I just want everybody to know that I didn't do anything with that little girl. I love her like she's my own. And I'll do anything to get her back.
Don't you think that hurts her bad enough? She was the last person to see him.
The last time I seen her is when I put her to bed.
It had nothing to do with her, man. She can't help that. She can't help she was the last one to see her.
But then, Haley's dad makes a stunning move.
were all shocked.
It really kind of blew our minds.
And could it help him get any closer to finding his daughter?
I put her to bed, and about 8 o'clock, and I woke up, and she was gone, and the back door was wide open. What the hell? Why is the back door open? You know why? And it was that back. I'm freaking out because the back door is open already. So I walk into the room, come to get my cell phone, run back and see Haley is gone.
5-year-old Haley Cummings suddenly vanishes from home overnight.
She was gone.
Her dad's girlfriend, Misty Crosland, was babysitting Haley and her little brother.
She was nowhere.
We knew that no matter what, the child was not in that neighborhood. She was gone.
Investigators were narrowing in on Misty Crosland.
Her story's changed multiple times.
She was a very good liar. You'd catch her in a lie, and she'd just tell you another one and expect you to believe it.
But Haley's dad, Ronald Cummings, seems to be standing by Misty.
I love that little girl like she was my own.
I'd like to have the allegations against my girlfriend cleared up. She had nothing to do with this. I had nothing to do with this.
Then, a month after Haley's disappearance, Ronald makes a shocking move.
She hasn't smiled much since Haley's been gone, but Misty Crosland was beaming as she went to the courthouse to get a marriage license with Haley's dad, Ronald Cummings. She smiled as she showed us her engagement ring and told us about the surprise proposal.
Last night at Chili's.
What did he do?
He got down on his knees and said, "Will you marry me?"
We were all shocked. If I had a child that age, and the person was there when the child disappeared and her stories didn't match up, I don't think I'd be deciding to marry that person.
Everybody's probably going to take this marriage thing the wrong way, but it's not. Everything's still focused on Haley. This is what Haley wanted. She's always talked about it.
It really kind of blew our minds, and what they're worried about is getting together and getting married. Well, the law enforcement and the hundreds of people are looking for his child. Our theory on that is because he felt at some point we were going to try to charge him for having a relationship with a girl that was under 18. So I think he was trying to protect himself.
Ronald never would come out and say he thought that Misty had something absolutely to do with it, but Ronald felt that Misty knew what happened. He was thinking about how this could possibly help him find Haley.
I spent a lot of time with Ronald, and he asked me, he said, should I marry her? And I said, Ronald, if you can get it, get it.
I did take a polygraph.
And you passed it?
I mean, my understanding is that I passed it.
During the investigation, Misty was provided a multitude of polygraphs and what they call a VSA, voice stress analysis test.
I just want to let everybody know that I was home because I did pass my lie detector test saying that I was home.
She failed miserably, each and every one of them.
So I got up and went to the kitchen, and that's when I noticed the back door is wide open. And that's when she was gone. Then I just started freaking out. We were looking under beds, closets, everywhere, screaming her name. Couldn't find her.
Curiously enough, the beds were all on the floor. There was no way to look under a bed.
Nobody has been cleared. When it comes to Misty Crosland, I do believe that she holds additional information that could bring this case to a closure.
But Ronald believed Misty didn't know anything more about Haley's disappearance.
He defended her consistently for months and months and months. As time passed and Haley's still missing and they have no suspects, I really think that Ronald Cummings started to wonder, could he have been wrong about Misty?
Love turned to, well, she's not being honest with me. How can I love somebody that, allowed my daughter to go missing and she won't tell me what happened?
Tensions were mounting, but then there was a major break in the case.
This is our day. Somebody's fixing to give it up. Tonight's the night.
Investigators make an arrest. What secrets will they uncover?
That's the question everybody wants to know. Were you home the night Haley disappeared?
What do you want to say to the people who are calling your story inconsistent, Missy? Do you have anything to say to them?
5-year-old Haley Cummings vanishes from home. the back door propped wide open. The last person to see Haley was her dad's girlfriend, Misty Crosland. Haley's dad, Ronald Cummings, shocked everyone when he married Misty Crosland a month after his daughter's disappearance.
I think that Ronald started becoming frustrated with Misty. Misty just kept saying, I don't know. And he really, truly believed she knew what had happened, and it just became too much for their marriage.
Ronald divorced Misty after nearly 8 months of marriage.
We can't go anywhere without being questioned or people staring at us.
He thinks like the rest of us. She's a big fat liar. The girl don't know how to tell the truth.
You want to hop in?
Baby, get in.
11 months after Haley's disappearance, investigators get a big break in the case.
Got them pinned in little double gram baggies if you want to count them out real quick and make sure they're all in there.
They had kind of lost contact with each other a little, but then Misty reached out to him, hey, can you help me do these things? He said, all right, I'll do it.
Our undercovers caught Misty and Ronald selling illegal narcotics, and then they set up the deal.
There's 100 there, there should be 100 there.
I told myself that day, this is our day. Somebody's fixing to give it up. I had chill bumps.
100 in there.
Yep, there's 100 in here. If they're all in 10 packs, there's 100. Yep. That should be 10 in each one.
Yep.
I'll get it for you, no problem. 2 weeks I can make the money to pay for them and eat them myself. Right.
Uh-oh.
This mother. Hey, do me a favor.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Ronald Cummings and Misty Crosland were both arrested in the undercover drug sting.
Once they were arrested, we thought, let's give this an opportunity for us to go back in.
I'm not going out on a limb when I say this. A deal was ready to be made. I can assure you there were prosecutors there, and we were ready to recover Haley, whatever it took.
Ms. Cummings, you've been charged with 4 counts of trafficking in hydrocodone out of Putnam County. A total of 5 counts of trafficking hydrocodone.
We had a drug charge that carried a 25-year minimum mandatory. We thought maybe we would have enough that we could put pressure on her to tell us what really happened.
It just didn't happen.
If you'll tell us what's going on, we'll work with you. Yeah, no.
What are you doing? Okay, what's wrong? I need to get out of here.
While they were all incarcerated in local jails, we monitored their phone calls very, very closely. Misty spent a lot of time on the phone with her parents.
They say it's not enough, it's not enough. They want more. There is no more. I tell them and tell them and tell them, and they just don't listen.
She just told us lie after lie after lie and didn't faze her.
I hate being called a liar. I'm not a liar. I'm telling you the truth, but leave me alone.
2 separate times she told me she don't know what I'm talking about, and she was asleep. And she can't help me.
Don't be holding nothing back from nobody.
Daddy, I'm not.
Get it out there. Let it out, man. Tell the truth.
I swear on everything I've told the truth, Dad. There's nothing else to I don't know.
That's one phone call that stands out to me. But if you don't want to hurt nobody, just tell us the truth. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Just weeks after Misty's arrest, there's a major development.
We met with the family of this missing child. We do have a search going on at this time.
I'm not hiding anything, so.
I know. Why would you sit there if you knew something?
I cry all the time about Haley, pray all the time about Haley.
5-year-old Haley Cummings mysteriously vanishes as her dad's girlfriend, Misty Crosland, was watching over her.
I'm scared. I don't want to be stood up for nothing.
Then, months later, in a strange twist, Misty and Haley's dad are arrested in an undercover drug bust.
Uh-oh.
This mother. Hang on. Hey, do me a favor.
Get on the ground! 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 Why I'm in jail has nothing to do with Haley. I didn't have anything to do with Haley, and if I knew who did, I would tell him.
3 months after Misty's arrest on drug charges, investigators get a big tip.
Breaking news tonight in the search for Haley Cummings. This is brand new video just into our newsroom from Sky 4 of the area where investigators spent the day searching for new clues in the case.
The tip suggested physical evidence might be found in the river that could explain Haley's disappearance. The search was 5 miles from Haley's home and was the same river the canine indicated picking up her scent. Was Misty Crosland starting to crack behind bars?
She gave a confession of having some knowledge of what happened and indicated that she watched her brother and her cousin remove Haley from the home. She indicated she was put in the water and waded down to the bottom.
We took Misty down to Shell Harbor when we were doing the diving, hoping that that might break her.
We wanted to maximize that effort to let Misty see, hey, maybe you being out here will allow you the opportunity to say, this is what happened.
We were looking for a shock and awe. She knew that she sent us there for this search. I remember her, she had tears in her eyes as she cried.
We truly believed at that time we were starting to get to a conclusion in the case.
Over the past few weeks, information has been obtained by investigators that lead them to believe that Haley Cummings is most likely deceased. At this point, I'm comfortable to go ahead and say that I'm going to call it a homicide.
We actually recovered a block with a rope on it, and we sent it to the lab. That all came back that it was not within the time frame of Haley's disappearance.
We had an anthropologist from the University of Florida over there to examine every piece of bone that was found.
After days of searching the river, no evidence of Haley or her body were found.
It's a big river. That tide runs through there pretty heavily. There are tons of alligators. The chances of ever finding the body, if it was placed in the river, are very, very slim.
Misty's brother and cousin were never suspects, and the story Misty told was never confirmed.
What it appears to us now is that they maybe were making up stories to get other drug charges.
One of the investigators told me that on the way back, driving her back to jail, she said, you know, I'm not telling the truth. Never mind, that didn't really happen.
The fact that she lied from us from day one, indicating that it was an abduction, and then changed her story to seeing a lifeless Haley, that's a clear indicator to me that she does know something.
You may not have a lot of book smarts, but you got a lot of street smarts. This case is not about Haley Cummings. This case is about you. On the charge of trafficking in oxycodone, an amount between 28 grams and 30 kilograms. You are adjudicated guilty of the offense. You're sentenced to serve 25 years in the Department of Corrections with a 25-year minimum mandatory, followed by 5 years of drug offender probation.
If I were sitting here today and somebody were to ask me, could I single this case down to one particular person who I would put my focus on, it remains on Misty. Misty, tell us the truth. It's just that. Tell us the truth.
There's people, I'm sure, that sit out there and say, well, you have a 17-year-old girl. The 17-year-old girl beat you all. You know, you couldn't get her to tell you the information to find this young child. But Misty's mentality and things about Misty made her a victim that maybe would seal herself up. Every day I look at this little girl's face. This is what hangs on my wall in my office right in front of me. I see this little girl's face, that little innocent face, and it kind of brings it to reality every day that, hey, you have a job to try to find this. Even when things don't seem to be going the way we want them to go, this little girl is what motivates us to keep trying to go forward.
Hear my prayer, hear my plea. Please bring Haley back to me. We know, Lord God, there is no other who can bring her home to me and brother. This is Haley's room. It has her name up on the wall. The things that are in it were given her. They'll be here when she comes home, waiting for her. Do not know where she is or what happened to her. There isn't a way to describe it except it's a living hell.
Ronald Cummings was sentenced to 15 years behind bars on drug trafficking. He is expected to be released in December 2022. To this day, Haley's disappearance remains unsolved. No one was ever charged or arrested in connection with Haley's disappearance. This is what she would look like at the age of 12. If you have any information that could lead to her whereabouts, please contact 888-277-TIPS. There's a $15,000 reward if your tip leads to an arrest.
Not knowing where your daughter is, this beautiful young woman, 33 years old, and she just vanishes.
I don't think it's a coincidence she went missing the same day that this People's Court episode aired.
You're practically sunburnt now from being out in the elements looking for her.
Somebody knows something. We want to find Michelle.
This is questions about my daughter. Michelle is still missing.
Do you think we're close to an arrest?
Orlando, Florida, November 17, 2011. Just days before Thanksgiving. Michelle Parker's fight with her ex-fiancé airs on TVs across the country.
And he shouldn't have put his hands on me, and he shouldn't have put his hands on me prior. He shouldn't have left me 3 or 4 times over the past year and a half that we've been together.
Her family wasn't prepared for what would happen later that day.
Michelle Parker is like a lot of women that you see around here in Orlando. She had these big dreams, she had these big plans, and she was making steps to make her dreams come true.
Michelle was just a hardworking single mother of 3. She had 2 jobs. She would bartend at night.
She also had a tanning business, which she advertised with decals on her Hummer. She was also going to cosmetology school. She wanted to make a better life for herself and also her 3 kids.
She worked hard. She loved her kids. She was an awesome mom. Those kids are so well taken care of.
If you look at her photos, you can tell that cosmetology was important to her. She was always made up.
These are photos of Michelle Parker from the Michelle Parker Missing Person Facebook page.
Always had her nails done, who always had her hair done right.
She was in school to get the license and the certification to one day work for her mother and the salon.
She's like a magnet. She just draws people in. She's a beautiful, beautiful person.
Michelle Parker turned heads, and she turned Dale Smith's head. And he was good looking, she was good looking.
Michelle Parker and Dale Smith had twins together and were even engaged at one point. Michelle was also taking care of her 11-year-old son from a previous relationship.
They met, they fell in love, and then the worst happened.
Michelle Parker and Dale Smith, her fiance, they appeared on this episode of The People's Court.
It was one of those relationships that went sour, and it went south pretty quickly.
They were fighting over a $5,000 engagement ring. She threw the ring off a hotel balcony during an argument, and he was suing her to get some compensation for it.
He's just outside the door, maybe about a foot. And then he said that he wanted his ring. So I took it off, and I threw it at him.
Then when the engagement was over, he wanted the ring back, which of course he couldn't get, so he wanted the money that the ring was worth.
The judge on the People's Court decided to split the cost, so Michelle Parker would have to pay about $2,500 to cover half the cost of that very expensive diamond ring. The People's Court episode was filmed over the summer, but it didn't air until November, and the family didn't even know when it was airing. So really, it was a surprise to everyone that this episode was on TV.
Vaughn Parker, Michelle's mom, told me specifically that it was not likely Michelle's idea to go on that episode. She felt somewhat humiliated afterwards.
And Michelle's mom explained that for the first time to ABC News.
It was just so that she wouldn't have to pay for that engagement ring. She said, that was the most humiliating experience of my life. I don't even ever want to see it.
So this case might not have stood out, but then it did. Because the day it was airing is the day that Michelle Parker disappeared. So it was November 17th, 2011. And the People's Court was going to air at 2 o'clock local time in Orlando. But Michelle Parker was out and about, and the last time she was seen was at 2:30 at her mom's salon. So it doesn't look like she actually watched the show.
And then that's the last time the mother would see her.
So at 3:30 that afternoon, Michelle's 11-year-old son gets home from school, and normally Michelle was there, but she wasn't at the house. So he did what he knew to do, which was to call his grandmother and say, hey, where's my mom?
Michelle's mom told ABC News about her grandson's concern.
Her son called and said, is mom at the salon? We're like, no, honey, she should be taking a nap. She goes, well, I haven't seen her since I got home from school.
It was really out of the routine.
So at 4:26 that afternoon, Michelle's brother texts her to say, where are you?
Michelle's brother gets this odd, cryptic text from her with one word, just one word, Waterford.
Now that could be a reference to Waterford Lakes, which is a large neighborhood.
Waterford Lakes is an area of Orlando that has a big shopping center, has a movie theater, has restaurants. So when you say Waterford here in Orlando, everybody thinks of that shopping center.
It's about 30 minutes from where Michelle's home was, which is just bizarre because she was not known to hang out near Waterford.
Now, exactly what she meant by it, did she send that text? All these are unanswered questions.
And even more odd is that Michelle's family said it wasn't like her to send a one-word text.
She was more expressive. She would tell you what she's doing. So it does seem strange that the last text that she sent was just a one-word thing. Michelle was a bartender at a place called The Barn, which is a really busy, popular country western bar. And she was supposed to work at 7:30, but she never showed up.
All day long, Michelle Parker keeps missing these appointments.
By now, the family was really concerned. So Michelle's sister called the cops and reported her missing.
Normally, you have to wait about 24 hours before the police start looking into a missing persons case. And her sister felt strongly enough that the police needed to be investigating immediately.
Now it's 8 o'clock, she's still not around. A few minutes later, her phone is powered off. There's no explanation as to why she would ever do that.
The battery could have run out, it could have been destroyed, no one knows.
Her cell phone was powered down in kind of a central location that wasn't really near her house, near her work, near any place that she'd been.
This is the cell phone tower where Michelle's phone last pinged. Even in a voicemail to her father a day before she disappeared, Michelle appeared to be fine. Her father shared the message exclusively with the Today Show.
Hey, Dad. This is Michelle. Call me when you have lunch or you have break or at the end of your day, okay? I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
She was in good tone and glad to see us, and we were going to go eat some oysters, but she didn't even tell me about the show was going to be aired.
For her to go missing on the very day that she was going to be on the People's Court and make her national TV debut, that would be quite a coincidence for her to vanish on that day. And it really feels like somebody must have known that this was coming. Because why this day? Why not the day before or the day after?
Michelle's family was very concerned, and it was evident in her interview with the Today Show.
The first time in my life, I have been climbing under trains. I have been going through ditches and dumpsters, praying that she's not there.
The family wasn't wasting any time. They knew that when Michelle Parker was missing for just a few hours that something may be wrong. So they went to the police right away, and they really went to work quickly trying to launch search parties, calling friends and putting up flyers.
My wife's out there, everybody's searching, and let's hope we find her and bring her home.
There were literally thousands of flyers. These were posted everywhere. She basically became a household name here in the Central Florida area.
Michelle vanished right near Thanksgiving. So instead of celebrating, her family was having to deal with these searches. And when I would talk to Michelle's mother, Yvonne, they were terrified.
This isn't a wallet. This isn't just a purse. This is my baby girl. We need to find her and we need help.
They were dredging lakes. They were looking under bushes. They were looking for a body. And that's the worst thing that a mother can go through.
I'm scared. I'm shaking. I want to find Michelle alive, not dead.
There were a lot of questions about what could have happened. You know, Michelle's mother actually said maybe it was a carjacking.
Michelle's mom explained that theory on the Today Show and appealed to her abductor.
I know in my heart of hearts that she's been carjacked, that the people saw an expensive car and a girl who looks like she has money. And I know they've made a mistake.
She had a very distinctive big car. It was a Hummer. Her logo splashed across the back windshield of glow. That was advertising her tanning business.
There were local TV anchors that were questioning, could she have just run off?
There was speculation that maybe she was seeing someone else and they had run off together.
Michelle Parker started dating someone just a few weeks before her disappearance. This boyfriend, Nathan Mitchell, was really new to the whole Parker family.
He was even seen looking for her. He would be crying. He was on the news. He was desperate to get her back as well. Police soon determined that Nathan Mitchell wasn't involved with her disappearance.
Michelle worked at one of the most popular bars in Sanford, Florida. It's called The Barn. People get weird infatuations with bartenders oftentimes. So there was speculation that maybe there was a patron at that bar who followed her, who was stalking her, who could have possibly kidnapped her. No one knows.
But there was somewhere else Michelle went that caught investigators' attention. Up next, investigators make a big discovery. And
new video of Michelle Parker just hours before she goes missing.
Video reveals a disturbing clue.
Michelle Parker, a beautiful mom of three, vanishes on the very day that the People's Court airs that shows her and her ex-fiancé fighting over a ring.
These are photos of Michelle Parker from the Michelle Parker Missing Person Facebook page.
Police, family members don't know where she is, and attention is pointing to a lot of people who may be responsible.
Here's what we know. Michelle was last seen at 2:30 at her mom's salon. At 3:30, Michelle wasn't home when her 11-year-old son arrived after school. At 4:26, Michelle's brother received a text from her with one word, Waterford. And at 7:30, Michelle missed her bartending shift. But there was somewhere else Michelle went that caught investigators' attention. This is the police report Orlando Police Department provided us. Much of it has been redacted. But the report lists her last known location as her ex-fiancé Dale Smith's house.
At 3:18 p.m., her Hummer was seen going into Dale Smith's condo community. There were surveillance videos everywhere, so we do have a little clip of her parking her car there at his house.
We know that she dropped the twins off at that house, but what happened after is unknown. We don't really see her Hummer leaving his community because of the way the cameras are set up, so it does leave some mystery about when she may have left that neighborhood.
The way that neighborhood works is, a lot of people have asked, why don't they have video of the vehicle leaving if it came in? Well, it's a loop around. So when you drive in, you would drive up to the house, and then it just loops back around to leave out of the gate. So that's why the vehicle is actually not seen leaving, because normally she just went around the loop.
There's so many cameras and so much surveillance in this neighborhood. So it's really strange that all we see is this few-second clip of her vehicle. There may be more. The cops may have it. They may not have released it.
In the first days of the search, you really didn't see much of Dale Smith because he was home taking care of the couple's twins and her other 11-year-old child. So he was not out as much going through the community, putting up flyers or wearing the T-shirts trying to find her.
And Michelle's mom defended Dale Smith on Good Morning America, saying he was cooperating with authorities.
The police have investigated, they've talked to him, they've searched everything he owns, he's let them in his home, they have his computers. He's with my twin babies right now, my grandbabies and his children, which is where he needs to be. He is crying every time I talk to him on the phone.
They took his cell phones and his computers, and he was a victim as much as everybody else.
The only thing we've heard from Smith's family is on the first day of the search, when his dad vouched for his son.
He ain't got nothing to do with that. He was here the whole time she was supposed to be gone.
Then investigators make a big discovery.
That distinctive Hummer that Michelle Parker drove was found the day after she was reported missing. It was found the other side of town, not really near where she lived.
Michelle's Hummer was found in the parking lot of the Walden Palms apartments.
The apartment complex wasn't the type of place where you would expect to see a Hummer. You know, it's kind of run down, it's in a rougher area. Nobody thought that Michelle had any business over on that side of town.
On that Hummer, for years, there was a decal that basically was promoting that tanning business.
The decal, and it said Glow, also would have had her phone number on it. That was gone. So it was strange. It looked like somebody had tried to make it a little bit less identifiable.
Her vehicle was found near a mall in basically South Orlando, which is obviously a county away. We're talking 20, 25 miles away. And that was just a miss.
If you look at a map where Michelle spent her time on her last day before she disappeared, she was zigzagging back and forth, which makes it really hard to understand exactly what she was doing or give us a place to look.
And there was something else that would add to the suspicion.
New video of Michelle Parker just hours before she goes missing.
At noon on the day that she disappeared, Michelle stopped at a KFC, and we have video of her making her order through the drive-thru, and it's the last known video that we have that actually shows her clearly. But it also shows a really interesting clue.
Now watch as the vehicle drives away. What do we see? Did you see that? The decals on the side of her truck, so distinct.
In the back of that Hummer, the decal that said Glow with her phone number was still there. So sometime between 12 o'clock and the time that the vehicle was found, that decal was peeled off. But it was definitely there when Michelle was driving.
Just because that vehicle has been found, we still want people to try to remember it. Remember that Hummer. It had those glow stickers on there.
Well, removing the decal is really an obvious way to try to make sure this doesn't look like Michelle Parker's Hummer. It's a large, very big car, very flashy. You could recognize it going through the neighborhood. And really taking this glow decal off the back was a way of trying to perhaps hide evidence.
This whole thing doesn't feel like a regular carjacking that happened at random. This feels like something targeted where they decided that they needed to cover their tracks by peeling that decal off.
I know that it had to have been someone that knew her personally, no doubt in my mind.
Inside the vehicle, they still found her purse, her wallet, her cash, her other belongings, which really led police to think this wasn't a carjacking.
But Michelle's iPhone wasn't found in her Hummer, and her family knew that may be the key to tracking her down.
We need that iPhone. Don't touch it. Just call us. It's mainly black with a little bit of pink and white Hurley writing.
And what about that cryptic text Michelle's brother received from her number with one word? Waterford. Waterford was way on the other side of town. from where Michelle's Hummer was found. Did she send the text? Or did someone else? Coming up, police make a stunning announcement.
There's all these microphones set out.
I knew something big was going to happen.
Best mom ever. I was real proud of her. I told her that a week before she went missing, how proud I am of her. She's done everything right.
Michelle Parker, a mom of 3 and a popular bartender, is on the People's Court battling her ex-fiancé Dale Smith over a luxury engagement ring. But the day the show aired would also be the same day she mysteriously vanished. Her family said there was no way she would just abandon her kids.
9 days after Michelle disappeared, and 2 days after Thanksgiving, the cops descended on Dale Smith's parents' home. And this wasn't just a little polite door knock. This was multiple vehicles, multiple officers, is that it was chaos.
Yesterday, as seen in the cell phone video, SWAT members raided Dale Smith Sr.'s Orange County home in the search for the missing mom.
We do know, according to some neighbors, that some chemical was used, whether it was a tear gas or a pepper spray. But police raided this home to try to seize evidence. They thought it was so important to do this over the Thanksgiving holiday.
We don't know what they were looking for or what they found.
Late today, a man believed to be the father of Michelle Parker's ex-fiancée refused to answer any questions.
Sir, can we talk to you for a moment? Can we talk to you about the raid here, sir?
They must have had a very good clue that Michelle was in there. Evidently she wasn't.
Then, 11 days after Michelle disappeared, there was a police press conference with Michelle's family.
There's all these microphones set out.
I knew something big was going to happen.
It's rainy, and it was sort of eerie.
After numerous tips and investigative leads, we are officially naming Dale Smith, the ex-fiancé, as the primary suspect in the disappearance of Michelle Parker. Mr. Smith is our primary focus.
Dale, if you're out there, honey, and you're listening to me, if you made a mistake and it was just a second of like, oh, I lost my head or whatever and you didn't know what to do, our family needs to have Michelle home.
It was surprising that they made such a declarative statement like that he was a suspect, but then they didn't arrest him. And it didn't really go anywhere from there.
Chief, is Dale Smith a murder suspect? We have a missing, beautiful young lady that we're trying to recover at this point.
It made everybody wonder, what evidence do they have? And is it not enough evidence for them to make an arrest?
Do you believe Dale Smith has lied to you?
We offered him a polygraph, and he simply refused.
We can only guess that Orlando police was trying to get a reaction out of Dale Smith.
Vaughn and Brad, Michelle's parents, they seemed like they knew this was going to happen.
You kept saying that, from the beginning, the whole family kept saying, no, it's not a suspect.
He was cooperating. He was cooperating. That's why.
Are you frustrated that he has not been taken into custody or not charged?
I'm very frustrated.
After Dale Smith was named as the suspect, all hell broke loose.
Dale Smith, whom police say is their only suspect in the disappearance of his ex-fiancée Michelle Parker, lunged at a news photographer, knocking him to the ground. People who arrived with Smith could then be heard jeering the fallen photographer.
The Today Show was among a group of photographers that caught the incident on camera.
Authorities actually took his kids away, saying that they feared for the kids' safety.
I'm Mark Nejame from Nejame Law, and I was one of Dale Smith's lead attorneys. It's natural that he would be a suspect. Any spouse of a missing other spouse is going to be the first suspect. Some people saying, well, I think it was him. That's not enough. And this isn't even one of those cases where a slick defense lawyer spins something. There's nothing there. There was none of Dale Smith's DNA found anywhere that would connect him to Michelle Parker's disappearance.
Up next, detectives get a break that could crack the case wide open.
Our jaws dropped and our eyes got wide.
People out there in Orlando know where Michelle Parker is. And I just hope that they will tell us. Just call Crime Line. It's anonymous. Tell us where she is so we can go and get her.
Michelle Parker is a hardworking mother of three. She's got 2 jobs, going to school, trying to be a cosmetologist. Now her ex-fiancé is the prime suspect in her disappearance.
She was an amazing girl. Everybody loved her. She always have a big smile. Even if she have a bad day, she always was smiling.
Michelle Parker fights her ex-fiancé on the People's Court. But the same day the episode airs, she suddenly vanishes.
Are you looking at an arrest of Dale Smith?
We are still in the investigating stage.
About an hour and a half after that episode of the People's Court aired in Orlando, Michelle was at her fiancé, Dale Smith's house, dropping her twins off. And no one knows what went on when she was there.
All we're trying to do is connect the dots. And there's just a few more dots that we need to connect to resolve this.
Did you kill her? Do you have any idea where she is? Where's Michelle? Did you kill her? Where is she?
Does Dale Smith know where Michelle Parker is?
No, of course not.
What do you say to people who say that this is incredibly odd, that the same day that Michelle disappears, she's on the People's Court?
I would agree with them. It is odd. Those are the serendipitous things that happen in life. So it's wholly inappropriate that law enforcement would have, should have, did fully, completely, and absolutely investigate him from top to bottom and everybody and everything surrounding him. But they came up with nothing to tie him into it.
My frustration lies in the fact that I'm a mother. This is my firstborn child. And I don't know where she is. And I don't know who did it for sure. I don't know where they put her. How disrespectful that is. Man up. You know? Do the right thing.
2 days after the state takes Dale Smith's twins away from him, he goes back to court.
The judge, to the surprise of everybody, gives him custody of the kids again. All of us were looking at each other in the media, just like, I can't believe he has these kids back. He'd just been named a suspect. So for him to get his kids back, that was shocking.
It was an interesting hearing because right afterwards, it was Michelle Parker's mom, Yvonne, who went up and hugged Dale.
I hugged Dale to tell him that my grandbabies, I want to be able to see them. And I hope that, we can work something out because they're so important to me.
Smith's attorney says investigators interviewed the 3-year-old twins about the day their mom disappeared.
They talked actually to the children who were very minor at the time, but there was simply a question without any adult being around. Did you hear them yelling? Did you hear was there any blood? Was there anything that anybody saw? And there was none of that.
Police didn't confirm if the children were interviewed. And while Dale Smith was granted custody of his children, his criminal past was also starting to surface.
Dale Smith had a record. He had been dishonorably discharged from the Marines. He had gotten into fights. He'd gotten charged with attempted aggravated battery. He had a drug charge.
In 2001, Dale Smith was court-martialed and convicted in a military court for domestic battery of his former wife. The Today Show spoke to her brother, whose pain is still evident.
The physical and mental abuse that he gave to her, she was pretty upset. She had never been treated like that by anyone.
He also had a restraining order that had been put out against him by Michelle. And the details were basically a yelling of obscenities. But one of the things he said, according to the paperwork, was, "Your day is coming." We don't know what that meant, but 2 years later, she disappeared, and he was the suspect.
Now, the judge considered that request, but dismissed it, saying there was insufficient evidence to issue a restraining order.
There was a pretty tumultuous relationship. Right before she went missing, they only spoke whenever they had to deal with the children. It was never good. It was always just like borderline walking on ice.
This is a man who had a record, and these kids were given back to him just 2 days later. Can you imagine?
I'm Rajan Joshi, one of the attorneys for Dale Smith. The Dale Smith you see on paper with the rap sheet is absolutely different than the Dale Smith who you'll see today. Dale Smith is honestly an amazing person. He cares for his kids like I have never seen a father care for his kids.
So then these pictures come out of Dale doing a hot body contest, and he's shirtless, he's wearing jeans, and he's wearing a cowboy hat. And it certainly gave this idea of the type of guy that everybody thought that he was.
Dale Smith and Michelle Parker met while Dale Smith was doing a hot body contest at this bar called Cowboys. From my understanding, Michelle liked the way Dale looked and had a mutual friend introduce the two of them. They hit it off right away. Like any relationship, they had their problems, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Then, a major development in the case.
You guys, this is a real hard day. They found my daughter's cell phone. It just breaks my heart that my daughter's cell phone was found, because that means that there's something criminal. It's something criminal. And I had such high hopes that, maybe, we'd find her and she'd be alive. And I just don't think that's gonna happen.
Nearly 3 weeks after Michelle disappeared, investigators find Michelle's cell phone in Lake Conway, near the Neela Avenue Bridge.
Maybe it was the bright pink case that she kept that phone in, the iPhone 4, but dive teams were able to find it.
Michelle's cell phone last pinged a mile away from where it was eventually found. Divers searching nearby bodies of water made the discovery.
But it was found in remarkably good condition, even though it was underwater. Think of all the things that are on a phone. Photos, your locations, your texts, your emails, your call history. So this is a treasure trove for the police. What's really interesting is the location where the phone was found. It's basically on the route from Dale Smith's home to his parents' home. And this isn't some major thoroughfare. This is kind of a back road.
Did Dale ever talk to you and tell you what happened the day that Michelle dropped the twins off?
The kids were dropped off. He had to work early, so he took the kids over to his parents' house.
The phone was found 5 miles from Dale Smith's parents' home and near the cell phone tower that tracked Michelle's last ping.
The final text she sent said Waterford, which is a suburb in the complete opposite direction of where her phone was found.
Police said her phone was never in Waterford. They searched the towers. It was a decoy.
So we don't know if that was a red herring. We don't know if that was something that someone was trying to throw police off the trail or what.
Up next.
I know positively for sure that's a body. I have no doubt.
What clues are in the water? And a bombshell development in the case.
The perpetrator of this crime did not act alone. This was a two-person situation.
I miss her so much, and I want her home. She needs to be where she's supposed to be.
Michelle Parker, a beautiful mom of 3, vanishes after she appears on the People's Court, battling it out with her ex-fiancé over an engagement ring. But 11 days after Michelle disappears, cops were looking at Dale Smith.
We are officially naming Dale Smith, the ex-fiancé, as the primary suspect. There are no other suspects that I'm aware of.
We'll find Michelle. It's just a matter of time. And Dale can run, but he cannot hide.
This beautiful young woman, 33 years old, and she just vanishes. And the last person to see her, he has to know something.
Dale Smith did know that segment of People's Court was going to air. I would point out, though, he prevailed in that case. If it was Dale Smith, what did he do with the body if, in fact, he had killed her? There was no way he could have disposed of the body. The children were in the apartment. He didn't go anywhere.
I believe if he had nothing to hide, he would have taken a polygraph test. He would have been out here helping us find her.
Dale Smith's attorney claims his client did try to find Michelle.
He is specifically requesting and asking for a full-scale search team to come into Central Florida, headed by Tim Miller, the foremost searcher in the United States from Texas EquiSearch, to help find her. What guilty person would do such a thing? I've spoken to Tim Miller, my friend and former client, today. Without a body, any prosecution is going to be difficult.
We can't find Michelle's body to prove that she's deceased.
But this world-renowned search expert, who has found over 400 missing people and the remains of more than 250 others, has state-of-the-art equipment to find missing people.
I know positively for sure that's a body. My name's Tim Miller, founder director of Texas Equisearch.
After Michelle's phone was found in Lake Conway, speculation was mounting that Michelle could possibly be underwater. One of the tools investigators use in a case like this is a side-scan sonar.
We do this our training also as far as making a dummy, putting it in the water. Side-scan sonar works the same principles as ultrasound. It sends sound waves down, it picks up an image, it sends that image back.
In his career, Tim Miller says he's found over 50 bodies in cars using side-scan sonar.
Most times, literally, we can put a diver right down on the body. There he is. There's a picture of him. I know that's a body. Right there's a leg, there's an arm, there's a head.
Miller says that no matter how long someone's been missing, there is hope that a body could still be found underwater.
We have found one after 9.5 years. That was in a container. The skeletal remains were in the container. I was asked to help out with the Michelle Parker case. Family member contacted me, Mark James, attorney in Florida. He contacted me, wanted us down there. And we let him know that we never get involved until law enforcement approves us coming in.
However, Miller says the Orlando Police Department didn't approve his involvement in the search, but wouldn't comment further. And in a shocking twist, 2 years after Michelle's disappearance, police have another key piece of evidence: the last known images of Michelle's Hummer.
In the video, you'll see that the car is not following anybody. No one is following the car. And the glow stickers that made it so prominent are no longer on the vehicle at that time at 8:55 p.m.
It's at a stoplight. It's really seen not too far from where it was recovered by the police a day after her disappearance.
The Hummer was caught on video at 8:55 p.m. on the day she disappeared. That means there was a 5-hour gap from the time she dropped her twins off to the time of this video.
Michelle was not in the car. The sticker was off. Somebody who did something to Michelle was driving that vehicle.
But the most interesting thing about that press conference is that authorities said that there might have been 2 people who were involved in the disappearance.
I firmly believe, after investigating this case for 2 years, that the perpetrator of this crime did not act alone. This was a 2-person situation.
Do they see movement or something in the passenger side mirror that suggests someone is sitting there?
The windows were a very dark tint and you could not see in them.
But the other thing about there being 2 people is that takes this from being some little crime of passion to something that's a lot more coordinated, a lot more calculated, a lot more planned out. So in legal terms, this would certainly turn it to a first-degree murder case if a body were found.
Do you know, was there anybody at Dale Smith's home the day that Michelle dropped her twins off at his house?
If there was, neither I or anybody out of the 7 billion people on the planet are aware of it.
With no signs of an arrest, Michelle Parker's family decides to take matters into their own hands and fight back.
I am in the rage stage. I am angry. How somebody could do this to her and her family and her children. And they think they're going to get away with it. You know what? I'm going to fight. I'm mad, and Michelle deserves this.
Nearly 2 years after her disappearance, Michelle's mom files a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale Smith, the only suspect named in her disappearance.
Michelle is still missing, and I want answers. And this is how we're going to try to get them.
You feel certain that Dale is responsible?
I think he knows. I think he knows.
Orlando police have not provided any details as to why they are calling Dale Smith a suspect in Michelle's disappearance.
The relationship between Dale Smith and Michelle Parker's family has totally fallen apart. And so Michelle's parents, especially her mother, they're dying to see their grandchildren, the twins. But Dale has not let them. That's one of the biggest tragedies involved here.
My daughter is missing. I love her and her children like they're my own. They're my DNA, and they are so important.
Michelle's mother, Yvonne, has been a crusader for grandparents' rights and grandparents' visitation rights.
Those kids are not going to be safe. He has a volatile temper. At some point, he is going to explode again. It's just a matter of time.
That has passed in the state of Florida, largely due to Yvonne's efforts, but she herself has not personally been able to see her grandchildren. And that is a really painful irony.
That, to me, is just absolutely outrageous.
Dale Smith still has custody of the twins. Michelle's family preferred not to comment on the case.
There's so many questions, we don't have answers to them. All we know is that Dale Smith was the primary suspect in her disappearance.
Whatever happened to Michelle is a mystery to all of us. Honestly, we could speculate, but neither Dale nor myself nor anyone who I know, including law enforcement, knows what happened to Michelle.
Dale Smith continues to deny allegations that he had anything to do with Michelle's disappearance.
All these years later, and this is still in the courts, and really still a story about a family that's been torn apart.
The family has said that the worst thing is not having any answers, not knowing what happened to her, really not even knowing if she's alive or dead.
Michelle's mom expressed on the Today Show how hard it's been.
I describe it as being at a funeral every single day. Every hour of every day. And it never goes away. And you can't get away from it as hard as you try.
They can suspect that she's gone, but they don't know for sure unless a body's found.
November 17th, 2011, I got a phone call from my nephew asking where his mother was. I still don't have that answer. It's very hard, and we have fought, and we have worked, and we have not slept. I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for all of your prayers, all of your support, for random days just sending us messages to tell us that, hey, you know, I saw a flyer, or I was thinking of your family. It truly does help, and it truly does mean the world to us.
Michelle Parker remains missing. She was last seen driving her black Hummer with the glow sticker. Her Hummer was an H3 model. The license number is AWG M26. Michelle was last seen wearing jeans, a Florida Gators hooded sweatshirt, and a silver cross necklace. If you have any information that could lead to her whereabouts, please call Crime Line at 800-423-TIPS.